welcome to
The Body,
The Blood,
the Michelada,
a podcast.
Today I just want to start by saying that I made some blackberry mojitos and they are super delicious.
They're very good.
They are
You're
really
welcome.
good.
I already downed 2 of them.
I know I had to make you another one.
No.
But that's okay because that's what
I just got a mouthful of mint.
recipes for that blackberry mojito today will be available on our Tumblr and our Instagram.
At BB Michelada.
At BB Michelada, please follow us. We need the attention. Like Tinkerbell will die without it.
I think I die with it though. Why am I doing this?
Just enough.
Okay.
Too much is will die, and not enough will die.
I mean, I'm dying anyway, so
That's true. But you, I think Paul and I are fine.
just me. I'm just dying. It's because it's honestly because of the attention. You guys thrive on it.
Sometimes I don't want it.
I'm just
Oh, yes, I don't want attention. Nobody give me attention, please.
Please,
Like,
don't
please,
give
no,
me
stop,
attention.
stop.
like everyone
No.
at work stops.
Don't
me.
make me sing.
Oh,
Don't
Sophie,
follow my
That
Instagram.
podcast. When is it coming out? I hear you have a podcast. When's the podcast? Who are you? What's the podcast?
What do you mean, who are you? Did you just see the people from work? Don't you see them every day?
I mean, there's a lot of people that work at our store every day that I never see.
They might know her, but do
They've
they
seen my
know
name on
her?
this schedule.
To be fair, a lady came into the bank yesterday and was like, "Hey, Natalie," and I was like, "Is that a stranger?"
I think I'm having an episode. fall back right now.
Well, there's a chair to catch you, so you're good.
Yeah, thank God I'm sitting.
Thank the Lord.
Anyways, go on.
So I will be posting the recipes for this blackberry mojito on our Tumblr, which is BB Michelada, and our Instagram, which is also BB Michelada, if anyone would like to know how to make this blackberry mojito.
Fun stuff, guys.
Fun.
Stuff. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ethiopian flight that just went down. You guys heard about that one, right?
Yeah, it's been all over the news.
Yeah.
NPR's been going fucking nuts over this.
Yeah, Boeing came out and was like, totally our fault.
I'm an old
guys.
lady who listens to NPR all the time.
Sophie is an old lady.
It's true.
That's why I'm dying.
Makes sense. She's Benjamin Buttoning.
It's true.
And it just made me think about other weird stuff that's happened with planes.
Uh-huh. There's a lot of weird stuff that's happened with planes.
It reminded me of the story of Glenn Miller. Well, everyone knows Glenn Miller, especially if you were ever in band as a kid.
I was not.
You were not, but you know Glenn Miller.
I once played the violin, but when the recital came about, I didn't actually play it. I only mimed playing, and my entire family knew. They saw it. It was very obvious.
Well, it's hard to mind play a violin.
We call that the disappointment of 2000.
It wasn't 2000.
19.
I believe it was 1999.
99.
All of you, I have to remind you, you are the youngest one.
I was just
Sophie
trying to
and
pick
I
a
were
random date.
in school in the 90s.
We're gonna be 30 soon.
I was in school in the 90s.
What grade were you in the 90s?
Okay, I was born in 93. I wasn't even that young.
You were like first grade in the 90s. Since you don't know who Glenn Miller is. Glenn Miller was, like, whenever you hear swing music in movies.
Didn't he do In the Mood?
Yeah, he did In the Mood.
Everyone knows
he did
that song.
Moonlight Serenade. Also, At Last and Chattanooga Choo Choo. My favorite.
Aww.
I know.
Because you were a man
There was a man in a play and
that
Sophie
sang it.
was a prostitute.
So me and Natalie in high school were in a production of Biloxi Blues by Arthur Miller.
By
Right?
Arthur Miller, who just passed away.
He did just pass away.
Yeah.
Oh, sad. He'll probably come back up again during our podcast because that guy was everywhere.
He was. Also, I love that play.
Yeah. Natalie played a man who liked to sing a lot in the
I
Army.
sang in my sleep.
He
and that-
sang Chattanooga Choo
I was very dedicated. I had to bind my boobs, and in the first scene of the play, they kick me away, and I got kicked in the chest in the play.
And she had to do push-ups every night.
and I had to do push-ups bound.
Wow.
I know. Dedication.
I played a prostitute in the same play.
Dedication. She blew a guy every night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I really got into it.
Yeah.
It's why when I graduated, they announced my name as Sophie Hormio. So, but we're not going to get into that. No, continue with your story.
Sorry, guys. So Glenn Miller was like the name in swing music. So between the years of 1938 and 1943, Glenn Miller was just whipping out hit after hit.
He has all the jams.
Yeah, he actually had 16 number one records and 69 top 10 hits. I know.
Along with 420 singles.
420s this weekend, guys.
We did.
We're singing a drag show.
It's gonna be a train wreck, but I love it.
Amazing. Oh my god. But as everyone knows, in the 40s, we had World War II. Glenn Miller, being a red-blooded American, joined the armed forces. He joined the Air Force in 1942. I mean, I wouldn't say he was exactly active duty. He was playing the trombone and leading the American...
He did like those, the RSO
Yeah,
things?
like the entertainment. He was with the band and he was going to a bunch of places in Europe.
Okay. He was helping rally the troops, basically.
Yeah. Well, in 1942, he was due to go from England to France. He was going to cross the English Channel.
Okay, short flight.
Yeah. And so he gets in the plane and is never seen again. He disappears. No one knows what happened.
Did they see him get on the plane?
What?
They saw him get on. There's a couple theories. So one, the obvious theory.
That flight is not long. How do you miss it?
It's not very long at all.
Okay, go on.
People swim the English Channel.
Exactly.
Like, it's not that far.
It's like you're up in the air 5 minutes and then...
So there's a couple of theories of what happened. The first one, obviously, the plane, they had really bad weather that day. It was really foggy.
I mean, that's what that area is known for.
Wait, so the whole plane was missing?
The whole plane went missing.
Oh my god. I thought you meant just him went missing.
Like how did
I'm sorry. No, the whole plane went missing.
Oh my god.
So is he Amelia Earhart?
He's kind of like Amelia Earhart.
Okay, Glenn Miller is Amelia Earhart.
Except instead of going across the ocean, he went across the English Channel and disappeared.
So it
What a fucking pussy.
so it was a really foggy day, and it had actually been so foggy that the airport in England where he was leaving from and the airport in France were both closed. They had been closed for a week prior because of such bad weather, which I think is strange. Like, why would you be like, bye Glenn Miller, you're super famous, let's just stick you on a plane when there is known weather conditions that are terrible.
That seems extremely irresponsible.
Exactly.
Because, well, even if they had ulterior motives there, like, he's a celebrity. People are gonna notice.
Yeah. There's also, he had very, like, ominous his last recorded conversation. He had asked someone, his words were, where the hell are the parachutes? Because he was, like, expecting the plane and figuring out everything.
What?
And one of the guys in the military that was escorting him on the plane kind of laughed and said, what's the matter with you, Miller? Do you really want to live forever? So that was his last conversation with someone that's, like, recorded before he took off in the plane.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah. Also, so there's a couple different ideas of what happened to him. One, obviously the plane went down.
But they would have found the plane and then everyone would have known, like...
Well, that's just one thing. So there is a guy who thinks he found the plane. He was fishing the English Channel. He's a fisherman, and he brought up wreckage from a plane. But because so many planes went down in the English Channel, it's actually considered a military graveyard to the English.
Oh, so you can't disturb it.
You can't disturb it.
Oh, wow.
So when he put up a plane, he was like, oh shit, and he dropped the plane back into the water. And then years later, he saw a picture of Glenn Miller's plane, and he was like, that's the plane that I brought up.
Okay.
And he's been trying ever since to try to get them to let him go back to where he found the plane. But the government's like, no, it's years later. You didn't know, you didn't even see Glenn Miller's plane until maybe 10 years after the fact. We're not going to let you just go and randomly pull up wreckage. Yeah. You don't know if there's live ammunition in those planes. You don't want you just disturbing random grave sites. Like, no dice. So he thinks he found it. Another theory is that it's still involving the plane, that he went down in friendly fire. Yeah, that he was flying the English Channel, and the British troops were actually doing bomb raids at the time.
Oh.
Right, yeah.
And so there's actually a British Air Force pilot who thinks that he saw them accidentally bomb Glenn Miller's plane.
Oh my god.
Or a plane that fit the description of Glenn Miller's plane. And his plane was a very specific plane.
Okay.
Again, that plane had known issues. They knew that that plane in cold weather, the engines would like freeze up and kind of just like drop.
But they let him get on a plane.
They still let him get on the plane
during inclement weather.
During a bomb raid.
That would close airports for weeks.
Somebody wanted this guy dead.
Yeah. Also, he died December, I think, 15th. They didn't say anything until Christmas Eve.
Oh my god.
Wait, so they found him?
They never found him, but they knew that he didn't make it. So they knew that day.
They should have known that day that he
didn't get to where he was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't report it until like 10 days later, December 24th.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So what, his family was just like sitting around like wondering?
Yeah, his family had no idea.
Crazy.
So remember this every time you hear one of his hits.
There's a couple different theories as to why they didn't say it until later. One of them was that it was a government cover-up.
Mm.
Well, I mean, if he got killed during friendly fire.
I was gonna say if he was shot down.
Yeah, if he was shot during friendly fire, like that's
you would want to cover that up.
Another one was speaking of prostitutes, there's a theory that he actually died of a heart attack in the arms of a prostitute in France.
Oh.
Yeah,
and so they just
kind of
claimed that he got on a plane.
They said that he died in a military attack.
Oh.
How did they go from he died in the air via a plane to like, oh, actually, this is what really happened, and he made it to France?
Well, that's
actually he was cruising around for prostitutes in France.
In that case, I would be like, oh, Germans shot him.
Yeah. Right? Just be like, I don't know, the Nazis did it.
Exactly.
Hitler.
Another theory is that it's a government cover-up, and this one is kind of collaborated by his brother.
Okay.
So his brother thinks he actually died of an illness. Like maybe he was exposed to something since he's in the military. Mm-hmm. Because they have letters where he wrote back and forth to his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And in his letters, he wrote to his brother, I am very ill. Although I am eating enough, I have trouble breathing, and I think I am very sick.
Oh.
He lost a lot of weight. He was also quoted, Glenn Miller was quoted as, I have an awful feeling you guys are going to go home without me. He had told that to one of the other band members.
Okay.
And so his brother thinks that he had somehow gotten very ill, maybe was exposed to something, and an illness just took him over. And the military did not want it getting out that they had accidentally poisoned Glenn Miller, in a sense.
Oh my god.
And so that's why there's this, like...
They were doing so much shady shit back then.
Yeah. And
that is totally possible.
Completely possible. So that they just said... And that kind of explains why they say it was a disappearance. Mm-hmm. Because they can't show you his body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, if Glenn Miller goes from being like this giant, sturdy man to like this tiny, frail individual.
Oh, it's basically like Steve Rogers, but in reverse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's the theory that his brother is like, I
don't even pay attention to Marvel movies, but I need a reference.
Good job, yeah.
That actually sounds pretty sound.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's his brother has the letters, and he's just like, I just think my brother died of some type of illness. And that even in the letters, Glenn Miller was talking about how he was just becoming very sick, and he didn't know why. Mm-hmm. He was like, I'm eating, I'm exercising, like I haven't done anything wrong. He was a smoker, but everyone was back then.
Yeah, that was just the thing you did.
But it didn't like, maybe lung cancer could have gotten him, but it doesn't explain like why in the course of 2 years all of a sudden he's just from healthy to sickly. Yeah. And that's the disappearance of Glenn Miller. You know, he just got on a plane and just disappeared. He was officially like pronounced gone in 1945, and he was given like military honors. And that's the story of the disappearance of Glenn Miller.
I never knew that, and like been listening to him, my entire life.
Yeah, I think everyone knows Glenn Miller. You've seen Pleasantville, you know Glenn Miller. Anytime they have any swing music in movies, it's Glenn Miller. And I never considered this man's probably dead now.
Well, I mean, I considered he was dead, but I just thought because he's old.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, because you hear about the celebrities that are part of the conspiracies, but you never hear Glenn Miller.
Yeah.
He's not somebody that comes up. You hear Marilyn Monroe, you hear the Kennedys, all that.
I think they were into really seedy, fun conspiracies.
Glenn Miller's conspiracy
Well, I
is
mean,
more
that's a
just
pretty...
the government covered up his death.
Well, the government covered up Kennedy's death too, but he was a president.
Yeah.
He wasn't as big as a president.
Yeah.
And Marilyn Monroe was
Banging
the
the
bombshell. Yeah. So yeah, and she was banging the president and his brother.
It all comes back to the president
And his brother.
His brother.
Sophie, hold your liquor better.
Do 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 Chuck Mangione, everyone.
This second drink is brought to you by whiskey. Or the second story is brought to you by whiskey.
Ooh, what are you guys drinking?
Alcohol.
Yes. I made peach strawberry mint
Smashes,
I guess, with whiskey.
Okay.
Natalie made homemade brulee lemonade. It's delicious.
So I took some lemons and I bruleed them and made lemonade. And then I mixed that with strawberries and mint. And then I used my peach whiskey. And I made this delicious ass strawberry smash.
Is this recipe also going to be up on the Instagram and Tumblr?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes, it will. I'll put that up. Thank you for reminding me that I need to do my part.
You fucking cunt.
Yeah, lazy
I've been
ass
doing
bitch.
all the work all week,
Oh my
and
God.
I've been dying, but I've been still working out. I've been making us stars.
Oh, is your back hurting from carrying this podcast?
Yes. Yes, it is.
While we're on the topic of missing flights, I have a story about a very famous missing flight that happened in 2014, so semi-recent.
So we should remember this?
We should remember this. It's Malaysia Flight 370.
Oh, shit. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was a big deal. It was in the news for years. So first, I just want to get through some facts.
Go on. So Malaysia.
Malaysia Flight 370. On March 8th, 2014, 277 passengers and 12 crew members boarded a flight never to be seen again. So the flight was traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. So it was a pretty long flight. It was going to be flying over the ocean. The flight left at 12:41 a.m. and it had reached its cruising altitude at about 1:02 a.m. And then that's when stuff started to go weird. All of the systems started to be switched off manually.
Oh.
Yeah, so first the reporting system, which was basically sending information back to the tower, was switched off almost as soon as they reached cruising altitude.
Switch off the pilot had to do it?
Yeah, someone had to physically switch off. So that's why this is a really weird thing that they purposefully started to remove communication from the plane to the tower. The last voice communication was at 1:19, so this is less than an hour after the plane took off. And then the transponder was switched off 2 minutes later, so 1:21. So we're barely 30 minutes into the flight and all systems have been turned off. At about 1:30, the Malaysia military began tracking the plane because they were we don't know what's going on. This plane's going off the radar. It's really weird. And they watched the plane start to veer off course. So it was supposed to be head straight for Beijing, but instead it started to veer off over the ocean.
Oh,
that's weird.
Super weird. And then almost an hour later at 2:22, the military lost contact with the plane. The last record of the plane was at 8:11 a.m. and this wasn't even known for, I believe, almost a year, because there was a satellite that just happened to be tracking the plane, but no one knew it.
Oh.
Yeah, so the satellite was tracking, was picking up signals from the plane, but it lost contact at about 8:11. So they knew like a general area of where the plane was going, but since all the systems had been switched off, it was hard to locate it exactly.
So when you say the military lost contact, like, so they were following it.
They were following it and they
lost
watched it, yeah, because it went outside of their
jurisdiction.
well, no, their reach.
Oh.
It went so far off course that they could no longer find the plane. Because I guess that the way these systems work, they're not like global tracking. Like they have to be, the radar has to be within like a certain area.
Okay.
That's why the satellite was able to pick it up. But then even then, it went so far off course that the satellite could no longer reach it either. So already, lots of weird stuff going on. Who knows what's going on? The military has no idea what's going on this plane.
Space pirates.
Space pirates. I was actually getting to that.
Sky waitress.
Yeah, Sky Waitress. The space pirates took over the plane. No. So.
Darth Vader, he boarded the flight midair. Because he is a space pirate.
Because everyone knew that the plans to the Death Star were on that plane.
That's true, you know.
Shit, man.
God.
Okay.
So almost immediately search efforts began because they were like, we have no idea what happened to this plane. There's over 280 people missing. Just gone. So they were searching pretty much anywhere from South China all the way to Australia because they have no idea what this plane is. They knew the course that it was going, and then they saw like where it started to veer off course. So they pretty much just had a huge radius. So it was determined that the plane crashed somewhere in the Indian Ocean. It's a pretty big area.
Yeah.
But it's extremely unlikely that anyone survived, just because of the area it was in. It was a very secluded place in the ocean.
Like even if they survived a crash
Even
in the
if they
ocean,
survived
no one's gonna know they're there and come save them.
There's no way that they
They're
can make it to
stuck in the
safety. Yeah,
ocean.
they're pretty much stuck in the ocean.
Like this ain't no Lost type bullshit where they just land on an island.
Yeah,
no,
that
there's
doesn't happen.
nowhere.
Except to Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart and her freckle cream.
The flight took off in March, and they were detecting pings from the black box on the plane all the way up until April 8th. So for about a month. But the battery.
That's weird.
Yeah, so the battery in the black box, it only lasts so long. Like, long enough that they hope that someone can find the plane.
Yeah, the wreckage.
Yeah. So it lasted about a month, and it was detected near Australia. But the pings were coming from, like, a wide area. So they're thinking that the wreckage was sort of floating through the ocean. So they kept finding like different pings from like around a certain area. After the black box died, the search went cold, and nothing was heard of until over a year later. In July of 2015, they found a piece of the plane.
What?
So a piece of the plane washed up on...
Oh my god, July 2015? I feel like that's when we met you, Paul.
Oh my god. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Are you the wreckage?
it's all connected, everyone.
explains your
We're
life.
on to you.
It makes sense. I am very awkwardly shaped.
You are a wreck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I like to thank the Academy.
We're all trash.
Yeah.
So, July 29th, 2015, on a beach on the French island of Reunion, a piece of debris washed up. This
Is this
island,
the reunion?
this island was over 2,300 miles from the area that they were actually searching for the plane.
Oh my god.
So either they were completely off, or the debris is just like floating throughout the ocean, just washing up on beaches. More debris was found. They found it on shores of Tanzania, to Africa, to Madagascar, pretty much everywhere. but only 3 pieces were actually identified as coming from the flight. And then 2 years later, in 2017, January, the search was called off. They weren't getting any more hints. They couldn't find any more wreckage.
Okay.
They had to call off the search.
They're not going to waste any more resources on it.
Exactly. But an American company called Ocean Infinity continued to search until May of 2017, but they also found nothing.
Was James Cameron a part of the search?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I bet he was.
Probably was.
That's why they had so much money to keep it.
He likes to go into the ocean and look at wreckage.
He's going to be making a movie about this.
He is. I've never been outside the country.
It's so sad.
I know.
We should take Paul on a trip.
Okay.
I mean, when we have money. Right now, we're super poor.
Please, we are still accepting donations.
I just spent so much money on alcohol.
I just spent so much money on making this a good podcast.
If you want us to keep drinking, please give us money. Okay. July 2018. This was over 4 years after the disappearance. The Malaysian government issued its final report. In July of 2018, over 4 years after the disappearance, the Malaysian government issued its final report. They said that mechanical malfunction was unlikely, and the change in flight path was most likely from manual inputs. So that means that the pilot switched off all communication and then manually took the plane out into the middle of the ocean. That's basically what they're saying.
So he was just like, I want to die. Let me take a bunch of people with me.
Yeah. So, get really sad for a second. The most likely cause was exactly what you said. They think that all passengers were knocked unconscious on the plane by the sudden depressurization.
Okay.
So only the pilot was conscious during this time?
I mean, that's better.
That's better.
I guess it's better.
I'd rather not know I was about to die.
Yeah, and then the pilot...
Well, that's the way everyone dreams of, like, well, no one dreams of dying, but, like, if you're gonna die, like, you want to go in your sleep.
I think about it all the time.
Yeah. They said it was most likely suicide.
But why, if you're gonna kill yourself, why
take
do it
out
that way?
that many people?
Yeah,
like,
just
why
take out yourself.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things, well, not interesting, really sad, before he went out into the middle of the ocean, because he started veering off course pretty much as soon as he reached altitude, he flew over his hometown. And they think that he was like, that he was like saying goodbye. So he flies over his hometown and then goes out into the middle of the ocean and takes down the plane. Super weird. I would like to talk about some of the conspiracies now.
Okay.
So now,
this is why I hate men. They're selfish.
You know what? Yeah. To take out 300 people just because you're sad.
Yeah.
So a book came out called Flight MH370, The Mystery, that a lot of people were upset about because it came out pretty shortly after the news of the plane had gone missing. And it claims that the plane was shot down during a military exercise and that the government was trying to cover it up. The book pretty much didn't offer much proof of this. It's just sort of making claims, so that's why a lot of the families were really upset over it. Yeah, they were saying that it was really insensitive and too soon. The former Malaysian Prime Minister, Mahathir Mohamad, claims that the CIA knows exactly where the plane is, and that, quote, someone is hiding something.
Why would the CIA be...
Like our CIA?
Our CIA, yeah.
Yeah, we're the only one with, like, our people called the CIA.
Well, I'm just, like, maybe they have their own version. Like, why would we be involved in Malaysia?
And then, once again, no proof. He's just... It's weird that, like, an ex-official, like, someone who's very...
With, like, a diplomat on board or something? Like, why wouldn't that be
why would we care?
Like, why would we care about the missing plane? And actually, one of the other conspiracies is that the plane was taken to another country. They think that the United States took the plane to one of their military bases.
Always involved in these things.
We're always involved somehow. Another one is that Afghani terrorists hijacked the plane and landed it in Afghan. I know what you're thinking. How could someone take a plane and fly it to another country without being seen?
David Copperfield.
Yes. It hid behind another plane.
Is this real or just...
No, it makes absolutely no sense. They claim that's how they claim
They just
it happened.
turn the whole stage?
Yes, that to avoid radar.
Penn and Teller were there.
That they hid behind another plane, so the plane
Remember
would have
that trick where they hid the elephant? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
There you go. Except
figured
flying
that
1,000 feet in the air, you know. So yeah, to take it to another country, it hid behind another plane to avoid radar detection.
Does that work?
No, they said in order for that to happen, it would have to stay extremely close to the other plane.
I was gonna say,
So
you
more
would
than-
be able to like.
Yeah,
see
so
it.
more than likely it's not how that happened. And of course, whenever anything happens, the best place to get your news is Twitter.
Yeah.
So a lot of users took to Twitter to talk about the disappearance. A lot of people think it was aliens.
Ooh.
It's always aliens.
Aliens are real, guys.
It's true.
I'm not saying aliens aren't real. I'm just saying I don't know if they care about.
They abducted
my
Malaysian Flight
family
370.
in, so many ways. And you know what? I want to say this one's bullshit.
There you hear it. There you have it, guys, from our expert.
I'm an expert.
Residential alien expert. And then finally, my favorite conspiracy. Pitbull predicted the flight disappearance in 2012.
The rapper?
The rapper.
Okay, please elaborate.
Mr. Worldwide. He would know. He is Mr. Worldwide.
So, in a song that he put out in 2012, there were some lyrics in that song that people are now connecting to the flight. Some of the lyrics are, quote, "Now it's off to Malaysia," and 2 passports, 3 cities, 2 countries, 1 day. So obviously now it's off to, I'll explain. Now it's off to Malaysia, obviously Malaysian flight.
Yeah.
Now about the 2 passports. So 2 passengers on the plane were 2 Iranians who used stolen Australian and Italian passports to board the plane. And that's what the 2 passports is referring to.
Okay.
The 3 cities is referring to the capitals of Malaysia, China, and Vietnam. And then...
Why?
You know what?
Like, I can just pick 3 random capitals, too.
Because they were flying from Malaysia to China and Vietnam.
At some point.
Someone on the plane
Vietnam's
was
in the
gonna
area.
they were missing their connection.
So that was the disappearance of Malaysia Flight 370. Yeah.
Okay.
Please give us your money. Oh, so, you guys did stories about missing planes.
Yes.
I'm going to do one about, I guess, a missing passenger. Everyone here knows the story of D.B. Cooper, right?
Yes. Hijacked a plane.
He hijacked a plane in Oregon.
Got those dollar bills.
Yeah. Asked for ransom money.
Yeah.
And then just kind of parachute out of the plane and like
a boss.
Like a boss. No one ever heard about him ever again.
He was a very
got away with
successful
it.
hijacker.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
This story isn't going to be about D.B. Cooper because if you want to know more about D.B. Cooper, you could look it up on your own. There's so many documentaries. There's a whole wiki page about him. And there's a really good BuzzFeed Unsolved episode about him.
Oh.
One of my favorites. Anyways, I'm going to talk about Tina Mucklow, who was actually one of the flight attendants on this particular flight.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever heard of Tina.
Well, he interacted with the flight attendants.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
you don't
I
know her by name.
Obviously, people were on the flight.
Yeah.
He was all alone. No pilots.
Anyways, Tina Mucklow in the 70s was a young flight attendant from Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
She had been working as a flight attendant for a few years now. Like, she wasn't brand new, but, she's still young.
Yeah,
she's
she's just
seasoned.
living her life and enjoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
Enjoying the
70s. She's being a free woman.
They had really,
Everyone's doing Quaaludes.
they had really cute uniforms. Back
They
then.
They did have super cute uniforms.
And flights were like super fancy.
She said what encouraged her to be a stewardess at this time was, obviously the travel involved, and, she wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she really never got out of the Pacific Northwest in Portland. She started off as her first job. Well, I don't know if this was her first job. It's one of her first jobs. The job before this job.
Prostitute.
She, she probably looked like one at this place.
It is the 70s.
She worked as a cocktail waitress.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, okay.
At like this snazzy club. I don't think it was like a Playboy club, but they dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
At these clubs, it's kind of like a regular thing for guys to hit on you, right?
Yeah, it's the 70s.
I mean, especially if you're like a scantily clad cocktail waitress, someone's gonna hit on you. She recalls that one evening, a man came in. He seemed like really interested in her. And he said he was a pilot, right?
Okay.
She just remembers this man. He was
So she's all over that.
a lot older. She didn't really give a fuck. She was just like, okay, this is just like a normal thing. And he's like, I'm a pilot.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Please keep tipping me.
Yeah. I mean, I could be interested in any job if you're giving me money.
He's like, just based on the way I've seen you, like, here, like, how you work, your work ethic, basically, that you would make a good fit for a stewardess, get out and see the world, that kind of deal.
Okay. Weird flex, but cool. Like,
yeah, and she's like, okay, this guy is totally just trying to,
Get it. Yeah. But you know what? I am gonna be a flight attendant.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, creepy guy.
Yeah, and so he
I base all my life choices off of a random bar patrons. That's
yes,
why I
random.
frequent them so often.
That's true. This is where you network people.
Yeah.
So he gives her a piece of paper. On it, it just has a number on there. He said, call this number if you want a job as a stewardess, basically. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
He's with the recruiting department of American Airlines.
You know what? You're not wrong. It's fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't what she thought, and it wasn't just like some guy like hitting on her.
Yeah.
But she's just like, this is a really weird encounter. She calls the number.
I don't know if I would call the number.
This is the 70s.
That's true.
This
You
is
can
the
trust
70s.
everyone.
This girl wants money. This guy said he was a pilot. She might have wanted to get
The
all
D.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted the pilot D.
Anyways, so it ended up being like a legitimate like phone number, and she was put on the phone with somebody that like eventually led to an interview. So it ends up being legitimate.
Okay.
This guy.
I mean, good for her.
I mean, this guy has connections, and she's not mad about it.
No. I mean, if someone was like, you know what, you'd be good for a job, and then I actually got a job out of it, that would be amazing.
It would
and
be
not
great.
just like sexually harassed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And anyways, from this, she got her job as a stewardess, and she worked for Northwest Orient Airlines, which we know today as Delta.
Okay.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah. So on this particular day, this flight, it's the busiest time of year, the holidays. It's the day before Thanksgiving, November 24th, 1971. And Tina's making sure like to fucking work. She's getting that bread.
Work it.
She's putting in them hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
To her, this is easier money than being a cocktail waitress, because you know what comes with being a cocktail waitress? All the fucking chusma. We don't want that.
Yeah.
And sexism.
Sexism, yes.
I mean, that comes with stewardess
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's true.
But with a stewardess,
But at least you get to fly. Like,
Yeah.
you're a little bit more respected than a cocktail
that's true. It was like the job.
Because if you're flying, then you were a rich person.
That's true.
So
Cocktail waitress to sky waitress.
you had to have some money to be flying. Anyway, she's getting that bread. By this point in her workday, she had already made a full trek across the United States. Her day had started in Washington, D.C. and where it ended the night before, because she's from Portland. And they had already made stops in Minneapolis, Great Falls, and Missoula, Missouri.
Okay.
And
Missoula.
they're stopping in Portland to pick up some more people. And then they were going to fly to Seattle, which she had planned to go to Seattle, finish her day there.
End her night.
And then just take a really quick flight back to Portland, and she was going to spend Thanksgiving with her family.
Cute.
Because...
Family.
Yeah, family. I'm glad she has one. Not everyone in our stories will have one.
Not
everyone has a family.
Not at the end of the story.
So it's supposed to be an easy last leg of her trip. It's Portland to Seattle, which is not very long. 30 minutes max.
I was gonna say, it's less than an hour.
I think it's like 2 hours to drive there.
No, yeah. But I mean, like, flight.
Flying, it's nothing. It's cool. Whatever. Doesn't seem like anything crazy
Yeah,
would
it's just
happen.
like an easy flight, maybe half an hour in the air,
Like-
give people a soda.
Yeah, that's it. Because you could...
Throw some peanuts at someone.
Yeah.
It's like a really quick one. She doesn't even have to like serve the full meals like,
Just a quickie.
some of these longer ones.
Just a quickie in
It's
the
just
air.
a quickie thing.
Just a quickie.
Anyways, she recalls that as they were loading in passengers from Portland, that there was an older middle-aged guy that to her looked really, really familiar, but she wasn't like sure where she knew him from. But she knows she recognized the face, right?
Okay.
And this man, he sat towards the back of the plane. It was out of her section, so she's like, I'm not gonna talk to him.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna pretend like, hey, Jim. Oh, it's Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a flight attendant now.
Yeah. So she continued on with her duties.
Oh.
Sophie has balls in her mouth. Everyone, give her
Balls.
some privacy.
Give me some time, okay?
This episode brought to you by Balls in the Mouth.
Yep.
Everyone's favorite game.
A heckin' good time.
As she's making...
Was supposed to be in church today, but I got
Balls in my mouth. Okay, I'm so sorry. Go on.
I'm drunk.
You're both drunk.
I think Paul's drunk.
Probably. He drank more.
I did.
Okay. As, she's doing... Oh my god.
Okay, I'm sorry. Paul's doing
Turn off his mic. So, as she's making her rounds through the aisle, helping people with what they need, peanuts and drinks and all that. Peanuts, get your peanuts.
Peanut sounds like penis. That's why I laughed.
Okay. Another stewardess approaches Tina. Her name's Florence Schaffner? Schaffner. And, she's really panicked when she approaches Tina, and Tina's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? What's happening? See, Florence is new.
Okay.
She's only been, doing the stewardess gig a little while.
Okay.
So, it's not necessarily uncommon for her to run up panic to her.
Yeah.
She's probably like, Tina's basically like, oh, what the fuck now? Like, just hand people the drinks that they want. Give them peanuts. If they want extra peanuts, I don't fucking care. Just give them the peanuts. She's a newbie. She can't do her job very well. Tina's like over it. But she's like, okay, what's wrong this time? Let's hear it. Come on. And, just figured it would be something she'd be able to solve.
Yeah.
But then Florence stuffs this like crinkled up note into Tina's hand and tells her to read it. And then gestured over to that guy that Tina recognized towards the back of the plane. And she said, this man over there, he handed me this note.
Oh, shit.
And then Tina's like, okay, you got a phone number from a guy. It happens.
It's like a hand-drawn penis. The first dick pic.
And she's just like, bitch, please. And then she looks at the note. And she like looks back at Florence, looks back at the guy, then looks at the note.
Rocky.
And then like Florence is like, it's real.
His penis.
Yeah.
And in the crumpled up piece of paper, in neat all capitalized letters, it read, "I have a bomb in my briefcase."
Oh.
So Florence is fucking panicking with good reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's way worse than someone's like, I want more peanuts. Like,
Yeah.
I have a bomb.
So she reads it, and she's just like, oh, fuck. But she doesn't let that show on her face.
She is a professional.
She is a professional. I mean, she was a cocktail waitress. She dealt with the worst of them.
It's true.
Especially in Portland. Seedy people are in Portland.
I believe it.
Also, I think when you're a waitress, people just treat you shitty.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, okay, don't panic. Take my section. I'll go talk to him. Just keep the passengers
Oh,
calm.
God. Isn't there like an air marshal or something on this flight?
Not on all flights.
Not on all flights. It's random.
After 9/11.
Oh. See, I'm just used to I've always heard that there's just an air marshal on every flight or something, but...
I think there used to be like random, very, very rarely, but after terrorism.
So she walks to the back where this man is sitting, and he just smiles at her. And he asks for her to sit with him.
Okay.
I mean, it's really weird. But you mean
weird.
He has a bomb.
He's like,
He has
I
a
got a bomb. Sit on my lap. Yeah, like you don't say no to someone that's
Who
like
has a bomb?
And then she's very quietly asks to see the bomb, so she knows he's not just
Can I see it?
Fucking with them. Because, I don't know if you realize this, but in the 70s, hijackings were a normal thing.
Oh.
They were a normal thing?
Yeah, they happened frequently.
Interesting.
No, I was even asking my mom if she remembered. Well, she wouldn't have remembered anything about D.B. Cooper, but had she ever even heard of this case? Because I don't know, they talk about it in the news every time the anniversary comes up. And she's like, no, but in the 70s, hijackings happened all the time. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's a weird tidbit.
Yeah.
Super weird.
I mean, she just wants to be sure there is real danger and he's not just fucking with her. And so he opens his briefcase that he has on his lap, and he reveals 8 red cylinders attached to red wires attached to a big battery.
Oh, that sounds like a bomb.
That sounds like a bomb.
It sounds like a bomb.
A bomb.
I mean, I don't know much about bombs, but if I just saw a bunch of wires in a briefcase, I'd be like, okay.
You can fool me, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
You can have
bomb.
whatever you want.
And then she's like, okay, so, what do you want? What
Yeah, what are your demands?
Yeah, what do you need me to do? I got you. Let's go. He's like, I'm really glad you came to this section and I'm not dealing with the other one over there, because she's freaking out. Florence is watching them behind a curtain, what is happening? I need to go to the cockpit, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Tina to tell me what to do.
Florence needs a mind of her own.
Florence is still new. Calm down. Would you be able to handle a bomb on your first day? I probably not.
It's not her first day, though.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks in or something. I don't know. And then he's like, okay, these are my demands. $200,000 in negotiable American currency. 4 parachutes. No more, no less.
I feel like $200,000 is not enough.
In the 70s it was.
But I feel like if you're gonna hijack a plane, go big or go home.
Maybe he knew they wouldn't have been able to get the funds.
That makes sense.
And then I want a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel. And then she's like, okay, fine. I'm gonna go up and let the pilots know so they could radio it in. So she goes, she tells the pilots what's going on, and she's like, this is a very real threat. I saw the bomb. We need to take this seriously. Please radio this in as soon as you can. Anyway, she comes back out, looks down the aisle, sees him at the back of the plane. Now, put on sunglasses.
He's a cool guy.
Now no one will know who he is.
Cool guys walking away from explosions.
There you go.
This is DB Cooper, guys. Okay, so all of this is happening. The guy has his sunglasses on. But as far as the passengers know, they're saying because of some sort of difficulty on the ground, they can't land.
Okay.
So this 30-minute flight gets extended to 2 hours because they're basically just circling around Seattle, trying to, make sure...
Figure out their next step.
Yeah. Well, DB Cooper is making sure they have everything ready to go when they're on the ground. Because he basically wants to just get there, get what he demanded, and then they're going to get up in the air again.
Okay.
So on the ground, police are scrambling. Police and FBI. The FBI is involved.
Oh shit.
Because, it's a hijacking.
Yeah.
What about the CIA?
I don't know, maybe. So they're mobilizing the emergency personnel. They don't know if there's going to be a big thing going on.
Yeah, you don't know. Like, does he also have a gun? Is he going to blow up the plane?
Yeah. Like, how do they know nothing bad is going to happen even if we give them all this shit?
Yeah.
They need to be ready. Meanwhile, Tina's sitting with this guy the entire time. Basically, just... Well, I mean, she's still tending to, Florence's original section, but, whenever nobody...
She's, walking around, giving people drinks still.
Yeah, she's trying to keep up appearances, but, anytime she doesn't have to deal with anyone, she's back in that seat, talking to him.
That would be so nerve-wracking.
Yeah. But Tina, stone-faced.
Professional.
She's a pro. She says he's very nice. He was friendly. He stayed calm the entire time. He was even pointing out landmarks on the ground from, the window.
What a weirdo.
And as they were flying over. And so she took it that he knew the area pretty well, like he was a local. Mm-hmm. The FBI gets the money together. They get the parachutes. But then Cooper is like, yo, Tina, ask them if it's, if they're military parachutes or if they're civilian parachutes. She goes to the cockpit. She has them radio in to ask. They're military grade. And he's like, nah, civilian only.
Oh, you would think you'd want military grade.
Well, there is a theory there that it's because he might not have known how to operate the military parachutes, and he would only ever use civilian ones.
Okay.
So that might be why.
Sense.
So Tina is acting as the messenger between this guy and the cockpit and the people on the ground. He's basically saying, we're not landing this plane until you make sure I have everything. Mm-hmm. So when they finally come back and say, all right, we have everything that you need, he's like, all right, we're good to land. Let's go. But when they landed, he made sure that all of the shades in the plane were pulled down so no one could see inside.
He's such a drama queen, this guy.
Well, it was because he wanted to make sure snipers couldn't
look in
and just get him right away. And also he wanted to make sure that they were out in the open, so there couldn't be anybody hiding, waiting to just come into the plane.
Okay.
Waiting to snatch him.
And then once he was sure that it was all cleared, he gave the okay for somebody to approach the plane with everything that he had asked for. Mm-hmm. But he didn't want any police near the plane. Yeah. So they just sent, I think, a janitor. And then he okayed the fuel truck, the person who operates the fuel truck, to come in.
Okay.
And he made Tina take an inventory of everything before he was like, okay, this is good. We have everything I asked for.
Really, looking to Tina as, a team player here.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Yeah. So she follows along with it. In later interviews, she states that it was easy to not question anything because he seemed so self-assured.
Mm-hmm. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. He said it was a little thrilling, actually.
Mm.
She takes inventory of everything. She's like, it's all here. We got it. And then when everything is accounted for, he releases the passengers. Well, after the passengers were released, only the flight crew was allowed to remain on board because he
needed them.
He needed them. The only person in the flight crew that was allowed to get off was Florence because she was very, very scared.
Because she was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Poor Florence.
So they're back in the air. He told the pilots, I want you to go to, I think, Cabo. All of you are staying up here locked in the cockpit. I'm going to chill back here with Tina. Don't come back here. I still have a bomb. Tina said she sat with the guy. And then he requested that she walk with him to the air stairs as he is strapping on his parachute.
Okay.
She notes that he began to like tie a rope around his waist for something, even though he's already having like a parachute attached to him.
Okay.
At this point, it's not really clear what happens to the man we know as DB Cooper. Because, well, Tina did walk with him to the air stairs, and she said that they opened up because he asked her to
open it.
To open it because he was getting ready to jump. But then she says he asked her to walk back to the cockpit and sit with them. They just know that DB Cooper was no longer on the plane, and they think they felt when he jumped, but no one can clarify if that was true or not because I guess they made a note of what time they felt something leave the plane. I guess they could track where he would have landed, like the vicinity. There was no trace of him. So what they're thinking is he might have either fallen or jumped off at a completely different time. We're not really sure what happens, but there is a theory that dear old Tina might have actually pushed him.
Oh.
So there is a theory that Tina, remember she said she recognized him?
Yeah.
And that's all she said. Yeah. A lot of people suspect that she was actually working for him. He was the man from the bar who told her to get that job.
The guy that was like, you would be a good steward.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's why she would have pushed him, because they were working together and she got greedy.
Oh, and Tina saw the perfect opportunity and it was like, bye, bitch.
Basically.
Holy shit, Tina.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. I'm like, this motherfucker.
This has been going on for hours.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm so over this
like,
shit.
I want to go home for Thanksgiving. I want to see my family. Go. Okay. I'd probably push him too.
I wonder if he was even wearing a parachute. He didn't even get it on, and she's just like, bye.
Well, shortly after this was all said and done, and they couldn't find a trace of DB Cooper, Tina quit being a stewardess.
Understandable.
But she joined a convent.
Oh.
Which is
like guilt?
Really, really strange.
Catholic guilt is strong,
Catholic guilt?
The money was eventually found, but it was...
like scattered?
Well, not scattered, but it was split up among the crew. They got like money in the mail, and they were able to trace it back to the money that...
Oh.
So they were paid off?
Maybe.
Or someone with a guilty conscience, like, was like, here you go.
That's the story of Tina Mucklow. So thank you again for listening to us. I don't know why you're listening to us.
Because we're funny.
I guess
we are pretty funny.
This is fun to record for us. So
We're hilarious.
I mean, any reason to drink in the middle of the day.
Plane crashes are hilarious. Funny.
So funny.
So funny.
Please like and subscribe. Please rate us. Let us know if there's anything you would like to hear about.
Please send in your topic submissions, because we're only 3 people. We can't think very much.
That's true. The alcohol has destroyed our brains.
It's true. My last
And our
brain
livers.
cell is barely hanging on.
So look out for another episode next Tuesday.
Yeah. Next Tuesday we'll be back at ya.
Thanks for listening.
And now we're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play, and most streaming services. So no excuses, guys. So please rate and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you.